As many of you know, or at least some of you know, I come from a fairly large and very Irish Catholic family. Well, at least half Irish. Mom was not Irish, but Dad, 100% Irish. In his younger days, he was sporting a full head of fiery red hair. In fact, his buddies would call him Red. That was his nickname, Red. And I don't know how he and his family celebrated St. Patrick's Day back in St. Louis, Missouri, where he was born. But certainly by the time I came along, because I was number 9 out of those 10 children that Mom and Dad had, there was clearly a tradition already in our Brennan household for celebrating St. Patrick's Day in a very big way. And at the risk of giving myself a small experience of post-traumatic stress syndrome, I'm going to remind myself of part of that celebration back home. It involved music, and I love music. I love to sing, but I don't really like to dance. It makes me pretty uncomfortable. But every St. Patrick's Day, Dad insisted that all of my brothers and sisters would dance an Irish jig, and we didn't know what an Irish jig was. We were just making it up. We hadn't studied Irish step dance either. So here we were, jumping up and down in the family living room to an old Irish folk song entitled "The Irish Washerwoman." Now, I can't sing it because there are no lyrics for this. It was simply music. It's done on a fiddle. It's done on a guitar. It can be done on an Irish flute. I don't have an Irish flute with me, and I've never done this on tape ever. So I'm going to whistle the tune, just a part of it. You're going to recognize this. It goes like this. And it goes on, and on, and on. We would get tired dancing this, and I don't know if my other brothers and sisters were as uncomfortable as I was about the dancing, but let's face it, if America's Funniest Videos had been going on back then, we might have made, the Brennan family would have made a few $1,000s. But music is associated with the Irish people, and for good reason, and music is associated with the Feast of St. Patrick, also for good reason. Again, most of it Irish folk music, Irish pub music, in other words, drinking songs. But there's some beautiful spiritual music too. In fact, there's one called the Lorica of St. Patrick, also known as the breastplate of St. Patrick. Now, Lorica is a Latin word that literally means armor. In this case, it's body armor. So it's the breastplate. Think of like a bulletproof vest, something to protect you. In fact, in the early monastic life in Scotland and Ireland, the monks would say a prayer that they would call the Lorica Prayer. So the Lorica of St. Patrick wasn't the only one. A Lorica prayer was a prayer for protection, especially from violence, from being harmed. And according to the legend, St. Patrick sang his Lorica, the breastplate of St. Patrick. He sang this whenever he felt that he and his fellow preachers were in any danger. According to legend, he sang it right before he and his friends were about to be ambushed by a pagan Irish king who wanted no part of conversion and didn't want his people to be converted in any way. There are lyrics to this music. I have the lyrics, but I don't have the music. I'm not going to sing this. But I wanted to quote some of these powerful, powerful, poetic and musical lines. I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. I arise today through the strength of Christ's birth with his baptism, through the strength of his crucifixion with his burial, through the strength of his resurrection with his ascension, through the strength of his descent for the judgment of doom. I arise today through the strength of heaven, the light of the sun, the radiance of the moon, the splendor of fire, the speed of lightning, the swiftness of wind, the depth of the sea, the stability of the earth, the firmness of rock. And then some very famous words that are often quoted. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ when I arise, Christ in the heart of every man who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of every man who speaks of me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me. I have a Reader's Digest version of that prayer, and it's on my desk, my office desk. I'm going to hold it up here, and as soon as we get it into focus, beautiful. God beneath me, God in front of me, God behind me, God above me, God within me. We know that St. Patrick was a man of prayer. We know that he went through incredible trials, kidnapped from his home in Britain, modern-day England, when he was 16 years old, dragged across the Irish Sea to a people who were foreign to him, to a land that was foreign to him, to a language that was foreign to him, and in slavery for 6 years. Escaping, going back to his home and his family, having a real conversion, knowing that the Irish people needed the faith. He became a priest, later a bishop, was sent to Ireland to convert them, and he did. So many beautiful legends associated with him. The legend of St. Patrick casting out all of the snakes from Ireland, and that's the reason why you won't find a snake there except in a pet shop. The legend of St. Patrick teaching people about the Holy Trinity by holding up a shamrock with the 3 leaves and the 1 shamrock. There's another legend that says that wherever he went to preach, to evangelize, he would take his walking staff and he would plant it in the ground, and he would leave it there in the ground in that neighborhood until the people had been evangelized, until they had been converted. And the legend goes that one time he planted his walking staff in the ground, and that it took him so long in this one place to convert the people and their leader that his walking staff began to grow roots into the ground, that it became a tree. Well, I've planted my walking staff, my crozier here in the Diocese of Fresno, and I'm hoping and praying that it doesn't take so long for me to convert anyone, that that my walking staff becomes a tree. And besides, it's not about the conversion of people out there. Your bishop needs to be converted too. And that's one of the reasons why we even remember our saints. I'm going to start this week some time of prayer, 10 days of prayer, not exactly a novena and not on consecutive days, but beginning next week on March the 16th, prayers that are entitled Prayers of Hope at the Foot of the Cross. Some drawing together some thoughts and some prayer after a whole year in the pandemic, and also some immediate preparation for Holy Week. And it's not a coincidence that on March the 17th, we will pray for those who teach the faith, for all teachers, catechists, parents, and all who work tirelessly to pass on Christ's message of hope. I hope you join me. Everyone is welcome, even though we have different intentions, different focus groups. Everyone is welcome every night. And we will pray that simple, beautiful night prayer at 8 o'clock on those evenings. There's a flyer on our website that you can consult, and it will tell you exactly how to log on to our diocesan YouTube page. And we would love to have you join us live on those 10 evenings of prayer. So have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. Don't do the silly things. Well, don't overdo the silly things. And do the wonderful things, the joyful things, the prayerful things too. And if you know how to dance an Irish jig, yeah, by all means, do that too. God bless you and those you love always and in every way.